Usually associated with someone's death or the end of some awful bloody struggle, are celebrated with a nice holiday. I thought we could mark this November the 5th, a day that is sadly no longer remembered, by taking some time out of our daily lives to sit down and have a little chat. There are, of course, those who do not want us to speak. In fact, even now, orders are being shouted into telephones, and men with guns will soon be on their way. Why? Because while the truncheon may be used in lieu of conversation, words will always retain their power. Words offer the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with this country, isn't there? Cruelty and injustice, intolerance and oppression. And where once you had the freedom to object, to think and speak as you saw fit, you now have censors and systems of surveillance coercing your conformity and seeing your submission. How did this happen? Who's to blame? Well, certainly there are those who are more responsible than others, and they will be held accountable. But again, truth be told, if you're looking for the guilty, you need only look into a mirror. I know why you did it. I know you were afraid. Who wouldn't be? War, terror, disease. There were a myriad of problems which conspired to... Fear got the best of you, and in your panic you turned to the now High Chancellor. He promised you order, he promised you peace, and all he demanded in return was your silent, obedient consent. Last night, I sought to end that silence. Last night, I destroyed the Old Bailey to remind this country of what it has forgotten. More than 400 years ago, a great citizen wished to embed the 5th of November forever in our memory. His hope was to remind the world that fairness, justice, and freedom are more than words. They are perspectives. So if you've seen nothing, if the crimes of this government remain unknown to you, then I would suggest that you allow the 5th of November to pass unmarked. But if you see what I see, if you feel as I feel, and if you would seek as I seek, then I ask you to stand beside me 1 year from tonight, outside the gates of Parliament, and together we shall give them a 5th of November that shall never, ever be forgotten.
You're on.
Welcome to Dawn's Diorama, Sunday 2nd of June 2013. And I'm your host, Dawn of the Dark Side. And tonight, the subject is secret societies. And I shall be interviewing Jan Erik Hansen, who's an avid researcher of secret societies. So, first of all, welcome to the show, Jan. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
That's good to hear. So,
yes.
Let's start at the very beginning, Jan. Can you tell us a bit about yourself, how did it all start for you? How did you get involved in researching your secret societies and whatnot? How did you get interested in it?
No, I'm a kind of history buff, so I like to study history and what has happened that we did not learn in school, I guess. It has been a long journey, and I was firstly interested in the more esoteric stuff, but because I think it's an esoteric story as well as an exoteric story. It's about inner knowledge and outer knowledge. It's divided.
Yeah. It's kind of like a bottomless pit when you go into it. There's so much information. Sometimes,
yes.
You ever feel that sometimes it's information overload?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of counterintelligence around, so it's hard to sift through and find out which is what and what is real information and which is disinformation, you know. It makes it kind of difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, just before we get into this, discussing it, in any sort of depth. First of all, I seen an article today and it grabbed my attention. It was about the anti-Bilderberg Fringe Festival, and it was being allowed to take place within the grounds of the Grove Hotel where the actual Bilderberg meeting is taking place. Now, the exact location of the Bilderberg meeting confirmed by police 2 weeks in advance, and it's quite strange that. Now, we had a discussion earlier off air, obviously, and we both kind of felt, hang on a minute, that this is just not adding up. There could be we were kind of agreeing that there could be another Bilderberg meeting, and this one's just to throw us off the scent, if you know what I mean, because why would they let everybody into the grounds? It just doesn't make sense, does it?
No, to me it seems like a media circus and red herring, really.
Yeah, I mean,
I would not think,
the mainstream and the mainstream is there, and the alternative, and it's just a big happy festival. I mean, what? I just don't get it. Is it just me, or why?
No, I totally agree. I don't think there will be made any important decision at this meeting. I think it would be more like a media circus.
Yeah, totally. You said something about intelligence, the MI5 or something, didn't you, earlier?
Yes. Yeah, I think it's an intelligence gathering operation to find out who's awake and who's not. Gathering data on dissidents as it is.
Yeah, I think you could be onto something there.
Yeah,
all right.
That seems to be that way.
Right, so since we're going to talk about secret societies, it would make sense to define what secret society is. Could you maybe tell us about that?
I would say that you have secret societies and you have societies with secrets, which is two different type of societies. The secret societies, you can't hardly find anything about them. And you have the societies with secrets, which they have an oath and they keep secrets. Those are easy to find. I would imagine there are several that we never can find out anything about them because they are really secret. That's my conclusion after my research I've done.
So, do you believe secret societies are still in existence to this day? And what kind of evidence are you aware of that supports this, if that's true?
I think they have always been there. The dominant minority, they are highly organized, and that's the way they connect in the networks to keep control of the masses, as I say it. If you want to keep the structure, you need to meet in secret and to keep the power structure intact as it is. If you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from in that respect. Now, how influential do you believe the secret societies to be in terms of influencing politics and the lawmakers and economic policy and whatnot?
100%. Everything would be done in these type of societies because as we live under national security state, all major decisions are done behind closed doors. There's nothing out in the open.
Yeah.
That's the way you organize it, isn't it?
Yeah, they usually, definitely. Because if they're doing everything in secret, it kind of makes you wonder why all the secrecy, what are they up to, why can't they tell us what's going on, because that automatically, it makes me think, and from what I've looked into and stuff, the information I found is, I believe them to be very influential within society, and within, like, making the laws, and even in courts, like, Freemasonry and whatnot, seem to be quite influential, and a lot of judges are Freemasons, and it just seems to be a bit of a pattern there. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely, and it's a lot about the City of London, really. That is where the power base is. The lawmakers, the banks, the insurance companies, large corporations, and we have a lot of gentlemen clubs, etc., etc. And they are a separate part from Britain. It's a sovereign territory, isn't it? And,
the Crown.
The Crown Corporation, which is trading under the name of the City of London. As I have found out, that was formerly known as the British East India Company. They just changed appearance, I think, at some point.
So we're going to talk about a few different secret societies tonight. Some of the main ones that we plan to talk about were like the Pilgrim Society, the maybe even if we get time, the Scottish Rites. But I mean, we could go in a bit to Freemasonry if you want. Bilderberg, because the Scottish Rites to do with that, obviously. The Bilderberg group, could maybe talk about that as well. And Order Templar Oriente.
OTO, yeah.
So, so let me see, let's start with, right, what secret societies, first of all, do you find most influential out of the ones that you're aware of, and why?
I would say that the military orders are very, very important in the power structure, because that's a merger between the private side of the nobility and the military and intelligence side. Really, that's a connection. Old families all over Europe that have been ruling Europe for the last 1,000 years.
It goes right back, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, how far I don't know if you're aware, how far do these secret societies go back in time? Do you have any idea?
I think they have been there always, I think. Mm-hmm. If you want to keep power, you need to communicate and build networks. And the people on top, they don't work. They have other people working for them, so they have all the time in the world to network and talk strategy and planning the agenda forward.
Now, you did bring up about the military ones, the military orders and whatnot, and I'm sure you mentioned to me about, I don't know if it was a military one or not, but I can't remember which specific secret society it was, but you were talking about how they were trying to gain power over the water rights, control over water, and all sorts of dodgy shit like that.
Yes.
Maybe elaborate on that and tell us which one it was, please.
That would be the Order of Saint Lazarus, I think it was.
I might actually still have... No, my browser's just crashed.
Just give you a link.
Yeah, it should be in the... Well, we'll go back to it if I find it anyway. So, what are the most common factors that you find involved in secret societies, like what kind of links them together? What kind of behaviours are?
That would be the will and the ability and the resources to stay in power, really. If you are born into a position of power, you want to stay there, and these people don't want to give it away for free, that's for sure. They are born into positions and they plan to stay that way.
Yeah.
They feel that they are better than us, so it's a natural order of things. That's how they see it. We are the landless peasants, and then these are the landowners and the aristocracy, and it's in their blood, and it's the way, the natural way they see it, things should be. If you catch my drift.
Yeah, as you said, it's in their blood, so it brings in the whole thing about the bloodlines and how they tend to kind of stay to their own kind, intermarry, and there's a history of, not saying they all do, but a lot of them have in the past, and they might still be doing it in breeding, but whereas it's kind of frowned upon very much in the society that we live in, but yeah, it's like, it seems to be commonplace in a lot of these families. There's actually, like, Fritz Ringmeier wrote a book about 13 bloodlines of the Illuminati. Now, I don't think that it's quite as simple as that, in the sense of, well, it's just these 13 families. I'm not naive enough to really think, believe that. I do think there is some truth to it. Mm-hmm. But, however, there are more families than that. There are more that are not mentioned in that book. And also, now, I don't have complete evidence for this, but I will put it out there. I mean, I have put it out there before on my show. I've mentioned it before, about the Aldobrandini family apparently being even higher ranking than the Rothschilds, because they're apparently the heads of Freemasonry. And they have, like, their Villa Aldobrandini in Rome. And if you look into the history, one of the Aldobrandinis was actually a pope. So there is very strong Vatican ties, and whether they're running the Vatican, I don't know. But apparently they hired, I read somewhere, and I'm not saying it's true. I'm not going to say this is definitely true or whatever, but there was speculation that they hired the Rothschilds a long time ago to carry out their agenda. So obviously, like, you're seeing that when you look into things, you see the Rothschilds are everywhere, and yeah, they seem really, really powerful, but it kind of makes me question, who's above them. I'm not totally convinced that they are the top of the pyramid, if you know what I mean.
No, they are too known, and that eliminates them as a real power, in my mind. The real powerful families behind there, it would be the banking families south of Florence and Genoa and Venice, in which is now Italy. They will call it fundis, which is the root word for funds. They were private families that have enormous wealth and could buy influence and buy up countries in Europe, really. And lend people money to make wars and get control of the country in the backhand afterwards. That's how it works.
And they tend to take over both sides of of every war. Fund both sides of every war,
yes.
And then they end up profiting from these wars as well.
Yes.
I mean, the Bushes were doing that, like Prescott Bush, and And also, like, when you go into the whole lending the money and everything, it kind of goes back to, like, when the fractional reserve banking system was set up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, apparently the Rothschilds set up these central banks a couple hundred years ago, and they spread out across Europe and then eventually moved to America and whatnot. And they came up with this whole fractional reserve system where they would say to, like, say the Prime Minister or whatever, they would say, oh, we'll give you like 10 times the amount of worth in gold that we have in store here, as long as you get people to pay back the interest. I think there was like 10% and 10% or something like that. 10 times the people had to pay back the interest anyway. I'm not going into the specifics because I'm getting a wee bit muddled here, but you get the gist. So that's how it all began, and this is how they've been making profit, because every note printed has interest attached prior to its use. And this money that we're paying in taxes, a lot of it's actually going into the pockets of these banksters' families, rather than actually going towards paying for the like services like fixing roads or health or whatever. And here's another thing, I mean, I'm going off on a tangent here about the health. That'd be another whole other show, really, because let's just say I support Rick Simpson. Right, anyway, let's go back to the subject that we're on. What is the main motivation, do you think, for these secret societies? Why have secret societies in the first place?
Maintain power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it boils down to that. If you don't organize, you cannot keep power. You cannot be unorganized. The masses are unorganized. And they are in the opposite end of the scale. They are highly organized. They discuss stuff and they have long-term business plans. Because the world is run as a business, really. It's all about... Money is a tool to apply power and control. That's the main logic behind it. Mm-hmm. Money is an end to the means. It's not the real. It's not what it's about. It's not about money. It's about keeping power and gaining more power.
Money's not real, though. I mean, it's just paper backed by nothing these days. Really, it used to be backed by gold, but now it's not backed by anything. It's just they're using computer systems and inventing figures out their heads and just saying, here's some money, and it actually has nothing to back it. They make it work for them so they can get all their luxuries and their private jets and their huge mansions, several houses, and they live in these often live in these tax havens, and they set up their corporations in tax havens, and so that they can have all these loopholes. I find a lot of these big corporations aren't actually paying taxes. It's kind of, I mean, I'm going into something else, but it all kind of viciously connects. It all kind of loops back, between there was a link between the intelligence services to the secret societies as well. And then, so obviously these people make their money from having these big corporations, and often they have duopolies like Pepsi and Coca-Cola and all sorts. McDonald's and Burger King's another example. It's supposed to be they're trying to pretend that it's a choice, but really they're owned by the same folk, and they're making profits from non-foods. But there we go, into another subject. But I don't really want to steer too much away from what the subject is tonight. Obviously, everything
is connected.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point That's the point I'm making, yeah. Totally. Now, royal connection with secret societies. Could you maybe elaborate on that a little?
Yeah, you have the two big ones. That would be the Order of the Golden Fleece, which is the Spanish and the Spanish Habsburgs and the Austrian Habsburgs. That's the most important one in mainland Europe. And in England you would have Order of the Garter. That is just for the royals. So that's where they meet and socialize and keep connected.
They're also, I think. Also, you were going to say something there.
Nope.
Right. Is it? It's one of the princes, Prince Philip or somebody. Is quite high-ranking Freemason. In fact, they're probably all quite high-ranking. But I did read something about them setting up a Freemason branch within the Buckingham Palace. I'm sure I read something about that.
Yeah, I would imagine. You have a higher rights of Freemasonry which are above the Scottish Rite, I imagine. Because different type of lodges they have color, it's different type of colors. You have a blue lodge and red lodge and
like
black lodge.
I'm sorry, I think you
bunch
actually said colours and I just heard you wrong. I
yes,
wasn't
colours.
mocking you.
Yeah, the blue lodge is the first 3 degrees. That's for the commoners.
Because
Yes. Porch Masons, they are called by Albert Pike.
is it there? Women. I think there is branches specific to women, but the or should I say mainstream? I don't know. Freemason branches don't tend to have women in them. There is other branches off of that do have women members. Is that right?
Yeah, in Norway we have something called the Rebecca Lodge, and we have a few others. Because women have moved into power now, I would imagine there are more of them than it used to be.
There seems to be, though. Now, I'm not banging the drum here for women's rights or anything, but the point I'm trying to make is there seems to be a common thread here with the all male secret societies. Like you've got the Bohemian Grove, you've got the Skulls and Bones, you've got the Freemasonry. For the biggest part is males. The most prominent ones tend to be all males.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that is?
Oh, it's traditional that men are in power, but I think it is. I don't think it's not what it seems really. If you go into the upper aristocracy in Europe, I think it's the female line of the bloodline that is more important than the male one, and that is how they hide their tracks. They marry away the daughters into important families, and that's how they are amalgamating power between each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because these people don't marry for love; they marry for positioning themselves in the system, in the power structure.
Maintaining their bloodlines and whatnot, and keeping the power and the wealth in the family lines.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Now, let's go on to the Vatican, right? About for example, the Knights of Malta. Now, there's an article in Nexus magazine that called "The Mafia, the CIA, and Vatican Intelligence Apparatus" by David Gagliata. Now, there's a link between the military and intelligence is made with the Vatican in relation to the Knights of Malta. What's your take on this? Can you elaborate further, and do you believe there's any truth to this? And can you outline what exactly the Knights of Malta are and where they came from?
The Knights of Malta are a military sovereign order. That means that they have a status as a country. They are sovereigns. They have ambassadors and diplomatic passports, and they are heavy into intelligence and the military side of things. When it comes to these military orders, they give memberships to the military side and to the civil side. And if you see generals and stuff, they have this, we call this sallet in Norwegian, on the chest with all these colors. That is top part of the medals that they get from the military orders. Without the medals, it's just the cloth, the colors on it. So if you're, have studied that a lot, you can find out, if you see a guy on TV, which order he has got membership in. Of course, they run the intelligence service as well. Intelligence gathering is a way to keep control, gathering information about everybody that is needed. You don't want somebody to backstab you, and then you need to know everything about them. These people are quite paranoid, I think. I would imagine.
Yeah, so I mean, you see, with the internet, I don't think they like the internet. I mean, it's been constant pushing of really tyrannical, oppressive, censorship bills, and like it's happened in the UK. They're trying to push these bills in the UK, and like in America, they keep trying to get it approved in America with the warrantless wiretapping and all this stuff, so that they can access, they can see emails and the contents of it, which I believe they can already do anyway. But they're just pushing it more into the forefront. It's like push fear agenda, to make people, like, oh my god, can't say, just be paranoid. They want people to be paranoid, and be afraid to speak their mind and whatnot. Just be compliant slaves.
Definitely, I think that's part of the agenda. But they are also just revealing what they have been doing for years. It's out in the open now. If they tell you that they are going to start the surveillance, it has been going on for decades previous, I think.
Absolutely.
We have the echelon system in England with all those big radar antennas, and that was operative in the early 80s, I think. So it has been going on for a while. They're just telling us now.
And we are, I don't know if we're the most surveilled country in the world, but we're one of the most surveilled anyway, because we have there's over 4 million CCTV cameras in the UK.
London is the most surveilled city in the world, yes.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy.
And there's all this technology coming out, like the facial recognition, and they've got the facial recognition cameras, they've got the license plate reading cameras, they've got then you've got your biometric stuff like eye scanners and fingerprint scanners, and then it goes onto your RFID, but it's all connected. I mean, the same people that are behind, very much pretty certain that the same people that are behind these secret societies and are the ones pushing this agenda, the ones that have the influence in the politics, because it's people with the money that are lobbying, and the politicians are very much bought and paid for, sold out to the big corps.
The politicians are selling the agenda. They are on the stage. They are they are not real power. So they are going to take the heat when the bad decisions are coming from the top, behind the scenes, as it is, I think.
Now, going back to the Knights of Malta, apparently
yes.
Jesuit controlled. So, what are Jesuits?
I would define it as a military order of priests, really. That they are hiding behind the priesthood as a kind of a veil, you know. It's they are. You have Jesuits who are priests and have a garb on, and you have the short robe ones, which are you cannot see. They don't wear the frock, as it is. Yeah. So they infiltrate and take control over stuff, and they are quite devious. If you look up the old definition of Jesuitical, you will find out what they are all about. It's deception and the political subversion, really. They have a very bad track record.
Yeah, they have.
In the Norwegian constitution, they are forbidden to come here. Of 1814.
I wonder why.
Yeah, it's not so strange, is it?
It laughs at the hypocrisy of it all when they're asking for money, and like the Pope came to Scotland not that long ago, and he got the taxpayer over here to foot his bill, basically. But then you look at the gold throne he's sitting on, and you look at all the wealth in the Vatican. The Vatican's a money pit. It really is. So much wealth, you know. Why does he have to ask people, working class people, for money to foot his bill to come over and I don't know where he stayed or whatever, but he came along and he's poser wagging his Pope-mobile and basically pretending that he's like some sort of saviour, world saviour. I'm sorry, but I'm going to level with people here and say that I'm not religious in the sense that I don't really follow any organised religion. I just follow what I think is right. As regards, you know, I know right from wrong. I like to say that I know right from wrong, and that's enough for me. I don't really buy into that whole thing. But
you don't need a priest to learn ethics, because I think that's inherent in people. Yeah,
exactly.
Mm-hmm. You have the indulgences that where the Catholic Church have been taking from the poor for hundreds of years. I think it's like 600-700 years they've been doing that.
I find that religion is a tool of control and division, basically brainwashing, division. There might be some good aspects of it. I'm not saying it's all bad, but I think you have to be kind of sensible. So anyway,
definitely.
Mhm. So I try to be open-minded, but ultimately it's not for me.
I think it's a thing of the past. I think religion is going to be taken out of society. I think kind of science is the new religion, isn't it? The scientists are the new priest class. You cannot be a heretic and don't believe in the scientist. That's a big no-no.
Monsanto is they've got immunity, so are they like gods or whatever?
Yeah, I think so. They are doing God's work.
They're immune from the courts, you know.
Yeah, they are above the courts.
They're trying to save us all with our lovely GMO food. Yeah, it's so good for you, you know. It's
scary. That shit is scary.
Oh yeah.
Tampering with the creation, I don't think that's good.
Not at all. No.
I think nature is perfect. You don't have to change it. It's wrong. It's very wrong.
if you didn't catch my sarcasm, listeners, I'm definitely not promoting that Monsanto. Yeah,
No.
I think if you've listened to my show before, you probably realise by now what my thoughts on Monsanto are. If you didn't before, you do now.
Everybody shouldn't know them. They are evil. I call them Monsatan and not Monsanto.
Not choked to death. That's quite a good name for them, actually. Right. The Pilgrim Society was founded in 1902. I think I got this from Wikipedia. Yeah, it's a British American society established, in the words of American diplomat Joseph Choate, to promote goodwill, good fellowship, and everlasting peace between the United States and Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of this? Do you dispute it, or would you like to add anything to it?
That would be echelon of the aristocracy in England and the nobility they sent over to New England in the north of the United States quite early. Really, it's a control structure for United States. It's really our colony of the City of London. Still, it's Crown land. It's owned by the City of London. It never got their freedom, really. I recommend people to read the Peace Treaty of 1783 to see what's in there. They didn't gain any freedom whatsoever. It's just a blatant lie. It's kind of hard for people to swallow, but that's just the way it is.
So, do we know any of the members of the Pilgrim Society, or who's behind it? Like, who would you be able to name any of them?
Yeah, I did send you a list.
Yes, I actually got the link here. Wait a minute, I just
Kind of long.
just throw it in now. Because my browser's crashed actually, so I lost everything I had open. I'll need to.
I have the problem too.
It's funny. It's a conspiracy. It's funny that our browsers crash just at the moment I go live on air.
They don't like us talking about this stuff.
They just want to close everything down. Sorry, but you know.
We are dissident landless peasants, and I don't like it.
Exactly. How dare those peasants go on radio and talk about us? How dare they set up
This
an
disrespectful.
radio?
It's heretics.
But yeah, we'll be talking more about the non-corporate radio and the Dark City show. There's some big explosive stuff coming up on that, but I'll not go into too much detail and I'll leave that for now.
I can put the Pilgrim Society link into the chat.
Yeah, that would be handy because I'm not actually in there now. I tend to find, as annoying as my listeners will probably find this, I tend to find it really distracting and I end up losing the thread of my thought when I'm in the chat because I end up looking at chat all the time.
This is quite good because it gives the history of the members as well.
So I'll go in after my show. I'll drop in the chat room after my show. Because I'll still be around in the Dark City show and you're more than welcome to stay as well.
I hang around.
Excellent. Right. So, let's move on then to in fact, what do you think the main goals of the Pilgrim Society are? Do you know of any others apart from what I mentioned?
Oh, it's to maintain power and keep control, really, and push the agenda along. We are living in a long-term business plan here, and it seems they are wanting to redo society. And as the 33rd degree Scottish Rite motto is order out of chaos, and it seems that they are pushing a lot of chaos now to do drastic changes to society. Social engineering is speeding up exponentially.
Exactly, it's happening a lot faster. It's just like bam, bam, bam before people can react, and it's constant distraction after distraction, and
it's been crazy for the last year.
Our energies and keep our energies low.
Yes.
So yeah, but it's I think when you're aware of that, it's a big thing when you're aware of what they're trying to do. Then you can actually take action to kind of counter it to a degree. So let's talk about the 1001 Club, because I really don't know much at all about this. But one of our chats before, I remember you mentioned something about that. Could you tell me what you know about it, and could you tell me what the difference between that and the Pilgrim Society is?
The 1001 Club was started by Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands, I think, and it's the power structure behind the Agenda 21 and the Green Movement to push along to get the peasants off the land and into crowded cities. That's his long-term agenda. They started a World Wildlife Foundation, and they are in with the United Nations as well. This is a quite interesting list of people, really. It's who's.
I mean, there's a lot of these kind of like you say about the wildlife. Did you say?
Yeah, WWF.
Yeah, the Wildlife Fund. The other examples that seem to be corporate owned are like Greenpeace and whatnot as well. These seem to be. I mean, I had like a guy on Max Bliss, and he was on about chemtrails and whatnot, and he was talking about Greenpeace. He'd emailed Greenpeace to ask for their help, and he'd given them lots of evidence and whatnot, and they just kind of ignored him. Basically, they responded him, but it was like kind of trolling him, if you know what I mean. Kind of like trying to say that chemtrails don't exist, blah 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 blah. You know, it's just waste of time. They obviously like.
It's control opposition. It's a fake front. They don't give a hoots about the environment. It's all about Agenda 21 and taking the peasants off the land and putting them into crowded megacities. That's the future they are envisioning for us in the 21st century. Global warming and, it's fake. But it works. People believe in that stuff.
It's because though these same people are owning media, they own everything really. So it's easy for them to push their agenda.
Yes.
You know. Now we haven't talked about Bohemian Grove yet, really. So
nope.
I mean, it gets a lot of press. It's one of these secret societies that in recent years it started to get a lot of press. And there's been like some protests, Enon protests and whatnot, at the Bohemian Grove. I think is it in California it takes place or something.
They have some strange rituals going on there. It's quite dark stuff.
Can you tell us about the Bohemian Grove and the membership kind of criteria, and what kind of people are members, and do we know any of them, and what do they do? What are these rituals about? What is it all about?
It seems to me that they are praying to an old Babylonian god or something. It's quite dark stuff, and it's mixed with the Catholic Church as well. The members there would be industrialists, powerful people in the bureaucracy and politicians, royalty as well. Would imagine from the Middle East and Europe and the States too. It's a mix. They do have meetings there, but it's about rituals. It's about merging of power, and it's like a 1 week party, isn't it?
Mm.
A lot of prostitutes, food, alcohol. It's got kind of wild.
It's quite sick, really, isn't it?
It would be nice to be a fly on the wall and see what is really happening there. I think it looks quite sick.
Is it just me, or a lot of these secret societies seem to have quite sick rituals, like especially the Freemasonry? I don't know if you could tell us about any of their rituals, what kind of things they do.
I don't think the Masons are so dark when it comes to rituals, really. It's more about brotherhood and getting advantages in business, and it's more about networking, really. I think you have to go to side orders and knighthoods and stuff to get into the sick stuff. If you have seen the last movie of what's his name? Eyes Wide Shut, you can get an impression of what these people are doing in a knighthood order when they party.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that Eyes Wide Shut, because that, when I've mentioned to Aldo Brandini's, I've said this before, yeah, but I will repeat it again. Stanley Kubrick got the inspiration for that movie from a Freemason orgy party at the Aldo Brandini's, one of their mansions.
Yeah, I would imagine it would be a more like a Knights of Malta type of party, not Freemasons. Your average Mason would not go to that type of party. It's more for the nobility and the real power player higher up in the pyramid of power.
Yeah, there's so many ranks. I mean, even the 33rd degree is not the highest. It goes away beyond that. Even apparently goes up to 360 degrees.
Yeah, there's rumors about that, but I know that in the Memphis and Mizraim and the OTO you can get up to 99th degree.
Very interesting. And is there truth to the fact that the Scottish rite,
Yes.
it takes longer to go through the ranks, to climb up the ranks in that than it does in the American versions?
No, I think it's the same. You have Scottish Rite in
Or like the
United Kingdom and in the
Masonry in
States.
the United Kingdom even. Is it true that it takes longer to get up the ranks in the UK ones than it does?
Yeah, but you have the York Rite. I think it's 9 degrees. That would be a faster lane, I think.
Right.
Depends on the kind of person you are. If you're a powerful person, they can push you faster through the ranks, and if you are just an average Joe, you will not. Then it takes a long time. And you have ordinary 33rd degree as well. So politicians and stuff, they can get to the 33rd just going through the Blue Lodge 3 degrees, and then they can skip all the others and just go straight to 33.
Right, we've got like about 5 minutes left, so just to finish up, really, maybe talk about a wee bit about the banking houses. I suppose it's going to have to be quick, and then maybe just some final words from you. So, and then just before we close out.
Again.
What banking houses do you know about?
Well, you have the Medicis. I would imagine they are much richer than the Rothschilds. They were financing the Catholic Church for a few hundred years out of Florence. They owned that city, and financing the Catholic Church worldwide would be a good business to have for one family. And they have been a lot of popes as well. And yeah, you have a lot of banking families down there. But they do keep changing their names and marrying each other, and it's hard to keep track of them. They're very clever in the way they hide their tracks, and they like to stay in the background. They don't like the people know who they are, really. They're very clever people.
Yeah. Now, you did mention something about the House of Savoy. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, they seem to be quite powerful, really. If you look at the castles they have and stuff, they have a lot of property, and they were the one putting Mussolini into power in the 2020s. Seems to me that they are quite powerful, and they got kicked out of Italy, and they are running Geneva now. That family, I think they are on top there in Switzerland. And Switzerland is a country with a lot of strange stuff going on.
Okay. Do you have anything else that you want to add, or any links or any information that you want to put out there just before we finish up?
Yeah, we could put in this one. These are the ones that are going to take control of the water resources in the world. I can put that in the chat. Are
you doing that just now? Because if you don't, and I can put the links in after I finish up.
Yes.
I will join the chat. Oh, great. Right. What I'll do is, once this show's finished, I'll jump in the chat and I'll throw in some of these links we've been talking about.
We have the OTO here. OTO is police and military. Here in Norway, most police are OTO. I know that.
Okay, well. Great. Well, thanks very much for coming on, Jan. It's been a great show, and I'm sure we can have you on again in future at some point if you'd like that. The next hour, we've got the Dark Side show coming up, but I'm not going to talk too much about what that's about, because we'll find out when that comes on. But we have been promoting it as well, so it's going to be quite a big show. So tune in, don't miss it. Next week I have Kirk Rutter on the show, who made a really good film about the GMO. GMO A Go-Go, I think it's called. He's been on before. He was on Dom's show a few months back. So thanks for listening, everybody, and good night.